Freedom Diegesis, I hope I pronounced that right, is one of those things that leaves an impact on you whether or not you know what you're getting yourself into. It's a game I knew nothing about prior to discovering it, and now that I've played it through, I can't imagine not hearing about it sooner, since it's that interesting of a product. On the surface, Freedom Diegesis seems like a typical puzzle platformer, albeit one that changes the ordinary formula with disturbing imagery and a darker premise overall. However, as you progress through the game, you begin to realize that it is far more than meets the eye, and now that I've finished it, I can safely say that this might be an understatement compared to what the game eventually reveals to you, a secret that you'll only learn if you play it yourself. In terms of graphical design, the game strikes an excellent balance between simplicity and detail, giving you just enough visual information to understand the grim nature of the game world. Body horror as a concept is something that I think has fallen out of fashion in recent years, much to my dismay. It's rare that we get to see a piece of media so wholeheartedly dedicated to depicting grotesque flesh abominations in extreme detail, and this is what makes Freedom Diegesis stand out in the low-profile horror game market. One might expect that the game's pixel graphics detract from its body horror elements, but in actuality they improve them. The simplistic character designs and minimal details of the game's environments withhold just enough information from the player so as to make gruesome sights seem even more intimidating, mainly because you can't quite tell what you're looking at most of the time. What is this thing? Why is it glitching out? Why is a suspicious white fluid dripping from it? The answers to these questions are ultimately left to the player, which is exactly what good body horror does. It makes a person question the nature of their very anatomy. However, despite all the good storytelling and visuals included in Freedom Diegesis, the actual gameplay isn't all that appealing. I don't dislike platformers. In fact, I'm more inclined to enjoy them if they bring interesting new concepts to the table. Freedom Diegesis sort of accomplishes this, but its value as a platformer is overshadowed by several flaws in its game design. The player moves very sluggishly, making it difficult to react and navigate within tight spaces. Puzzle solving can be very infuriating at times, especially when the game gives you no particular hints as to how to progress. It's very easy to hit a dead end when trying to solve a puzzle, and if this happens, there's no way to recover. You have to start the entire level over again, repeating the exact same steps in order to have a second shot at the puzzle. It doesn't help that in some situations the game leads you to these dead ends purposely, making it seem like there are more paths to take, when in reality there's only one route through each level. Judging by the fact that I completed it, the levels are far from impossible, though you will have to repeat them at least a few times before you progress. However, if you're patient and are willing to put up with clunky controls and annoying puzzles in favor of what amounts to a very interesting story, I definitely recommend checking out Freedom Diegesis. It's completely free to play, so if the game's premise or visuals are appealing to you, there's no reason not to give it a try.